Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the showdown between the Tomb Kings, who shall be led by Setzer the Imperishable, and the Warriors of Chaos, who are going to be helmed by Archaon the Ever-Chosen. And yes, I've actually been seeing him quite a bit lately, so I feel like he, deserves to be called Ever-Chosen. So here in the front line, we have four groups of the Tomb Guard with halberds, and I do like these guys quite a bit against Chaos. They serve a bit of a dual purpose. So firstly, they have really good melee defense, but more importantly, they have good armor-piercing values. So against Chaos Warriors and Chosen and most Chaos Infantry, they are going to be able to do some okay damage and have some good sustainability, therefore allowing your constructs and other troops to do the heavy lifting. On top of that, they also have anti-large. And some of the more common picks in this matchup are going to be Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Sometimes you'll see Kolek. Archaon is often on horseback, so having the anti-large here is also quite pertinent. So I think they're a pretty good frontline choice, and it's pretty elite, I guess. I have four of these bad boys, and hopefully they'll hold the line and allow the Tomb Scorpions to do the heavy lifting. So two Scorpions as well. Scorpions pretty self-explanatory, good armor piercing, bonus versus infantry, going to be very good against Chaos Infantry. And they're also not terrible against big targets. They do have 40 melee attack, and with a little bit of support, they can actually put some hurt on Shaggoths and things like that. Yes, they will lose head-to-head, but in numbers and with their maneuverability, and they're really good at hiding amongst halberds and infantry, they can do some okay work. So two of the Scorpions right here. We do also have Setzer. So Setzer, I think, is a pretty good choice here. Anti-large, armor piercing, really good defensive buffs for dueling. So for example, if you're fighting an enemy monster of some sort, you can cast the Narrow's Incantation of Protection to give 44% physical resist. Setzer can do some work for sure. But again, you have to be careful. He's not truly imperishable, as the name would infer, but Setzer could do some work. I think not Archaon, but Archaon the Black is also a very good, solid choice in this matchup. Lord of Death is super good against Chaos. They often bring things like the Mirror Guard. Spirit Leeches are super good against Archaon and Shaggoth, so there's an argument to be made for both, but again, it really depends on your playstyle. Up here, we got the big boys. So Setzer is going to be teaming up in the anti-large department with the Sphinx of Usef. So this guy's an absolute monster. I mean, 550 magic damage and fire damage, which isn't terribly pertinent in this matchup, but this thing is probably one of the best anti-large units in the game. It does some serious work. So we're going to try and go fisticuffs, and I don't mean the best in terms of like pure cost effectiveness. There's probably other anti-large units which are a little bit more cost effective for, being cheaper, more pound for pound punch. But if you just put these guys in a vacuum and have them fight other large units, they're going to be very, very tough to beat, especially since they're unbreakable. So we got him there. We got a Tomb Scorpion, and we have a bunch of the Nehekar Horsemen. So I think we have one group here, one on the far side as well, and then we do have some Skeleton Horsemen and Deep Vanguard. So I was hoping you would kind of push up here and I could get a bit of a flank on these guys. And if you don't respect the Marauder Horsemen, they're simply going to pick apart your constructs. And most good players, of course, Falcon being a masterful player, is going to be bringing the Marauder Horsemen to kind of deal with my constructs and things like that. So normally I really like to use Ushabti Great Bows and play that defensive Helm's Deep style play, but I'm going to be trying out the construct play because, again, this was like the original metagame of the Tomb Kings. Just go constructs and just monster mash. So we're going to see what happens. And for Falcon, he does have three groups of Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes right here. These guys are just going to be going balls deep with their missile damage, and they do have 21 AP of their 30 damage, so very efficient at taking out constructs, providing that juicy Overwatch fire. He does also have Archaon, so Archaon has Fireball, Cascading Fire Cloak, and the Burning Head. Burning Head is so devastating against Tomb Kings. I mean, Tomb Guard with halberds, they aren't cheap. They cost like 850, so if he's able to get a bunch of, good casts right down the line there and roast those guys, my front line will crumble pretty quick, even against low-tier troops like Chaos Marauders. He's got two Dragon Ogre Shaggies. These guys are just pretty self-explanatory. Again, anti-large, armor-piercing, super good against Tomb King's constructs, and those guys can do some serious work for sure. On top of that, he does also have Chaos Marauders, Mirror Guard. The whole front line is pretty much going to be chaff because most of his army is going to be in the Shaggoths and Archaon, but that's what's so good about, facing off against Tomb Kings. You don't need to waste money on AP infantry. You can simply use your magic and just like chaff units to kind of burn them down. So on that note, guys, let's get this show on the road and have some fun. So right now, you can see the Marauders are going to be screening in. My Nehekar Horsemen, of course, are shielded, but they're still going to be taking some sizable damage here. I don't know why that came up. And I do try and ambush out of the forest, but he did fall back with the Shaggoth, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to regroup my forces here and see what we can make happen. So right now I'm going to be screening out some of these halberds. They will be turning to help out a little bit, but I was like, you know what, let's go in, take a little bit of a monster mash here, and you can see the initial impact on the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is quite good. Cascading Fire Cloak does go down. Tomb Scorpion's going to be pulling in, as well as Setzer the Imperishable. I also was like, okay, I have halberds here. This isn't a bad spot to take a fight, and hopefully my horsemen can kind of collapse in here and maybe chase off some of these Marauders, and it looks like we make some okay contact and are able to push them back. Now, the initial fight, the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is taking a lot of damage, but so am I because of those horsemen. Those guys are doing great work, and you can see Falcon is going to be screening in Mirror Guard and some of these other troops, and there's also another Dragon Ogre Shaggoth coming in the distance. And yeah, we have a monster mash here. You can see Setzer is going to be fighting Archaon and doing a little bit of damage, but a huge Burning Head coming down the ranks. And this is what's really tough about blobbing up against Chaos. Look how heavy metal that is. So the Mirror Guard coming in here, just halberds, these giant constructs fighting through the flames here. It's just so goddamn epic. Warhammer is such a good game. Anyways, here, the skull is going to be coming down, burning those Tomb Guard with halberds. Archaon is taking a bit of a whooping here, but he does have the Slayer of Kings. I did also debuff him, but you can see here, my Sphinx is just getting worked on by these two Shaggoths. I thought I could trade like 1 for 1 and then get away, but, with Archaon hitting as well and the Slayer of Kings on him, I forgot about how truly hard Archaon hits. A lot of that damage was coming onto my Sphinx there. from Archeon, and yeah, that's a little bit tough. So in the meantime, he does screen out very efficient with the Marauder, so I was trying to get my horsemen onto his guys back here, but he kept screening with infantry, and I could have maybe pushed through, but skeletons don't have like the best mass, so it's a little bit tricky, the skeleton horseman that is, and the car horseman. So I have to go up and around, and in the meantime, he's getting a ton of value. So I do pull back the Sphinx. The Sphinx is able to escape, still has 1400 HP, so not completely useless, and the infantry fight, of course, over here is going, relatively well. Halberds should be able to beat Chaos Marauders just head to head, but it's not that big of a difference. Tomb Guard with Halberds here, putting a bit of a dent in the Marauders, and of course we have the other Tomb Scorpion, who, honestly, I think the real, important aspect of this battle is just winning the Monster Mash. Usually it's a very fast matchup if both players play Monster Mash, so I probably should have had the other Tomb Scorpion in there helping. I thought it was like, let's put one in the infantry fight, have him kind of grind it out, but ultimately I really needed him here in this fight. So the Tomb Scorpion here is going to be fighting against Archeon, but Archeon is just a destroyer of worlds, and I felt like I would grind a little bit better here simply because I had so many Halberds here and whatnot, but it seems like they're not getting too much work done. Now he does charge in for a bit of an alpha strike on the Sphinx, which was a good choice. Bounce power is a little bit in his favor, but to really secure this game, he needs to kill the Sphinx. So right here, it looks like there's going to be another burning head going down. Just beautiful cast here from Falcon. Going to be going down and just roasting my formation. But we do actually get a mass terror route right here. So we do route off the Marauder Horseman, which is great. The Sphinx is in okay shape. And this other group is a little bit compromised as well. So a decent little turning of the tide here in the back line, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough as these horsemen are able to kind of get away here. But my horsemen are going to be chasing them. But, the frontline fight, the curse is going to go off from Cetra, but a lot of things going pretty south this game. I really underestimated Archeon. He beat down my Sphinx. He beat down Cetra the Imperishable pretty bad. And I figured Cetra, being an anti-large specialist with some really good magic support, would be able to take Archeon, but it doesn't seem to be the case here. So the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth here is going to be getting the Cascading Fire Cloak, so really good use of the Lure of Fire. The Sphinx is like, let's go all in, let's go balls deep, try and take these guys out. The Sphinx is going to charge in and just get clubbed, but I do still have two Tomb Scorpions. The Tomb Scorpion's going to be jumping on the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, and like I said, they don't have a bonus versus large, but they still have okay melee attack. I think it's like 40 or like 35. And compared to the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, they're not going to be hitting it every time, but it will eventually be able to drag it down. In the meantime, Cetra is going to be pulling up and around. I was like, okay, I need to go for a kill here, just kind of get some points on the board. So we are going to be getting a huge charge right here on the Dragon Ogre Shaggy. We get a lancing charge. We're also going to be popping the Wrath of Patral, which looked really dramatic, but I don't think it actually did anything there. But nonetheless, we're able to take down a Shaggoth, which is good, but really the Burning Skulls have just eviscerated my infantry. Just absolute destruction here. I have a couple halberds on the far side who've won their respective fight, and you can see the Nehakar horsemen here are going to be chasing down the the Marauder horsemen throwing axes right here. But I mean, this is good. This is what I needed to be happening the entire game. I took way too much damage over the course of the whole battle from that, and it was pretty devastating for sure. So the Tomb Scorpions, one of them is getting taken to Pound Town by Archeon right here, and the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. The other one's going to be surging forward. And yeah, I really should have had all my elite forces together and tried to like goon him out as well, but he was able to outgoon me with Archeon plus the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. That is a lot of punch right there. Also, he's going to be dropping the Cascading Fire Cloak, really good value from that, putting the melee defense of the Shaggoth up to 82, and it's such a cheap spell. So, I mean, beautiful play here by Falcon, really good targeting and decision making. I think Shopty summons are going to come in, but for the most part, the Chaos Forces are easily going to clean up what I have left. I mean, Cetra's in the trash can, all my monsters are, and that is going to be all she wrote. So very well played to Falcon. It was a super fun game for sure. I liked his build. It was very efficient. Archeon obviously is, I think the Lord of Fire has a pretty good niche against Tomb Kings. Like the fire damage can roast a lot of their lords. And on top of that, just giving your Cascading Fire Cloak to the Shaggoth and the Burning Skull to take out Halberds, because the Halberds are very good against Chaos, right? Without the Burning Skulls, the Halberds might have been able to grind for quite some time and actually start to drag down these big entities, but he was able to just spit roast them. He flipped him upside down, put him on that the Hawaiian spit roast thing with the pig, and just straight up just gave him the business. So, but it was a decent build. It's not my usual playstyle with Tomb Kings, but again, Falcon and I in these past few games you guys have been seeing have been trying out new builds and experimenting a bit. But yeah, it was okay. It's kind of old school. I think maybe I was a little bit overzealous with the Sphinx. I probably should have been more defensive, just kind of kept it back with Cetra, let the Tomb Scorpions win the infantry fight, and then from there just kind of countercharge when he overextended, because I felt like I really played into his game there with my aggression. I just really thought I could nuke down a Shaggoth quicker than that. But yeah, it was good stuff. I liked his army. It was really, really fun. I think it was solid. Archeon, it's really cool seeing lords like that used to be complete memes actually be pretty efficient. With the Slayer of Kings, he was able to really butter some serious spread. So again, well played to Falcon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Make sure to check out his Twitch channel. I'll try to remember to put a link, and if I don't, please remind me, and I will link it ASAP. So on that note, guys, it was a relatively quick battle, so we're going to be jumping over to a Dwarf Lizardmen game. So we'll see you in just a second, and thanks again, guys. And now we're back with Game 2, which is going to feature a showdown between the Dawi, who shall be led by the High King Thorgrim Grudgebear. So we're going to be giving him a run, just trying to experiment with these different lords. And I feel like he's actually not bad against the dinos. He has some really good mass, right? So he's able to get in there, he can block big charges, and he has really good combat stats. So let's go ahead and take a look. And the dinos, for the point here, are going to be getting led by Lord Mazdamundi, and it looks like he's also going to be joined by the Croakman. So Croak actually can do some decent work against dwarves. For example, if you're in a very tight box with your Thunders, your missile units in the back line, he can almost one-shot them with his ability. So you have to respect the Toad for sure. He can do some seriously heavy lifting. So we got Thorgrim right here. Thorgrim, of course, 61, 62, 500. So this guy is pretty thick and meaty. And like I said, up on his throne here, he's going to be pretty, pretty high mass. So he's going to be able to block Stylodons, Mazdamundi, and be a bit of a threat that just doesn't get punted about. So oftentimes Dwarf Lords, even if like you have Ungrim or you have Grombrindle chasing these dinosaurs, sometimes like the tail will hit them, they'll go flying, and they're just not combat efficient. And yes, even though they do have better armor piercing, I find that it's really hard to stick on your target. But Thorgrim, I mean, yes, he's slow. He only has 30 speed, but when he gets there, you can't really knock him off terribly easy. He has a ton of HP, 5,781 compared to Croak. I mean, he has more HP than Croak. Mazdamundi has 2,000 more because of his lock, but basic Mazdamundi, I think, has about the same as, the High King here. On top of that, we do have the Oath of Vengeance, so this is a free ability. So every 60 seconds, you get to cast it, lowers melee defense by 27. It can do some pretty good work, especially if you have like a dinosaur surrounded by Slayers. It can really make them go down very, very quick. Great Book of Grudges, 9 melee attack, pretty good stuff there. And of course, let's see, he does have this. So disabled if hit points are greater than 50%. Okay, so let's see. So map-wide, 12% weapon damage, 8% charge bonus, 8 melee attack, and immune to psych. So that's definitely a pretty strong ability. And I believe it did get buffed in the most recent patches. The front line is going to be Dwarf Warriors and Longbeards. Pretty standard stuff. You don't really need to bring AP in the front line against the dinos. Even if they go with like Temple Guard or troops like that, you're going to have like 4 or 5 Thunders usually, and Runes of Wrath and Ruin and Miners, and you can usually grind them down. It's not like the biggest issue. In the back, we have 4 Thunders, so this is going to be the classic Dwarf style of having a big gun line. Of course, the minor difference being is that we have Thorgrim here. So Thorgrim, a very different pick. Oftentimes you see Rune Lords and characters like that, but I actually feel like he's pretty decent. We do have a Runesmith on the back. Runesmith is going to be dropping Runes of Wrath and Ruin here on the Skinks and these other troops, and also has a slowing ability. So if there's a big dinosaur in my back lines that I need to kind of pin down, hopefully he'll do the trick. We do also have the Althar's Raiders. Althar's Raiders are pretty good against dinos as well, good against Temple Guard. They have great armor-piercing attacks. 26 of that is going to be armor-piercing of the 58, but it looks like damage value, shown over 10 seconds, okay. They do also have the Marked by Althar, so this is going to lower missile parry, missile resist, and armor. So again, if they have like Star Chamber Guardians, something very big and meaty that you need to get down, this guy can do the trick. We also have a cannon in the back, going to be trying to force my opponent in, because if I don't have a cannon, he can kind of sit on the periphery, he can cast spells. Ancient Salamanders, for example, do have really good range. They actually have more than Thunder, so if he had like 2 Ancient Salamanders, he could shoot my Thunders, fall back, shoot. It would just be miserable, right? So you need to have a cannon or something like that to deal with those, because if you don't, it's going to be a disaster. 3 Miners with blasting charges, and that's pretty much it. So for my opponent, he does have a Vanguarded Ripperdactyl here, so going to be sneaking in, and they have great AP, and I think they can be efficient against Dwarves. I mean, if they're able to jump on some unguarded Thunders or any valuable target like that, they can do a lot of work. He's got 3 Skinks, 2 groups of Crocscores with their Spankin' Paddles. Here in the core, he does have the Star Chamber Guardians for the Guardian ability, so he's trying to make sure that I can't snipe Croak and essentially Mazdamundi. He has Lord Mazdamundi here. He does have the Legion of Chaqua, so that's going to be giving the missile resist buff, plus the Star Chamber Guardians giving their Guardian, so that's 15%, 44%, and then Shield of the Old Ones and any other natural buffs they already have. They're going to be, if they stay in this Helm's Deep with their buffs, going to be really almost impervious against missile attacks, but obviously they're not going to be able to do that, because then again, they're going to be getting picked apart in other areas of the battlefield. He does also have a Bastillodon, so this is going to be Bartholomew right here. He's going to be getting in there and having some fun. So he's going to be advancing, and seeing that he does have Skinks in the front line, I do pull forward my Miners, because the blasting charges are going to be super efficient. The guns are going to be opening up here on the Crocscores. A couple Skinks do get knocked over by the velocity of those bullets, but they'll be okay. So the first blasting charges are going to be dropping here, coming down the Skink cohorts, and this is going to be a thing of beauty here. These guys just getting mowed down. The guns, the Dawi Thunder is singing into these dinosaurs here, and you can see the Crocscores just taking a massive beating from all the crossfire coming in from the Thunders. And High King Thorgrim is going to be rushing forward, his Damazkron in hand, and he's going to be going after Lord Mazdamundi. Look at this, he has enough mass to kind of stop Mazdamundi's charge, the Duel of the Ages, and he has much better combat stats, like exponentially better. So Oath of Vengeance going down, lowering his melee defense, and there's going to be an Apotheosis, which is going to help. So Ruination of Cities going down, Banishment as well, and you can see Bartholomew is going to be charging through the front line, trying to get on the Thunders back here, but so far we're getting a ton of damage here, and just going super wide with guns like this, even if he is able to compromise a couple, there's still going to be so much crossfire. So these big dinos going to be coming in, taking some axes to the face as they do, but it looks like the axes might have been going after that other group there. So that is going to be a little bit painful, as the Crocscores do have a bonus for his infantry, but in this part of the battlefield, the Longbeards and the Miners were able to just pulverize that front line with the support of the Dawi Thunders. In the meantime, big old Lord, I was about to say Lord Croak, I just got it all backwards. But anyway, Lord Mazdamundi is going to be fighting in here. He is able to break off some Thunders with the Terror Routes. That's a little bit unfortunate. The High King wasn't able to rally them, but he's certainly going to be looking for vengeance as he does pile in and go after Lord Mazdamundi here. The center pocket's a little bit of a mess, and in the back, he actually did use Lord Croak in my cannon, so Croak used the Deliverance of Pizza. I believe it was level 2 or 3. It was very powerful, and pretty much one-shotted my cannon, which was really unfortunate, and he also dived in with the Ripperdactyls to make sure he took that down, but anyways, I did have the Slayers there, so so they were able to pretty much clean those guys up. So some of my guns have taken some damage and some pressure, but I still do have 2 Thunders right here. On the other side, we have this group and another group right there. Bartholomew is trying his best to shut them down, but my Dawi guns are back online now, so we're going to be taking these pot shots in and just swarming. And the frontline fight is obviously going very well. Star Chamber Guardians, yeah, we're not doing really any damage to them, but we just need to target them with miners and dwarf warriors and stuff like that, and really just drag on the game. So right here, you can see the Dragonback Slayers are going to be going after Croak, and he is a large, thick boy. You can see his girthy frame right here is going to be taking a ton of damage from the Dragonback Slayers, led by Thorgrim Grudgebear, the High King himself, jumping in here, giving melee attack to these dwarves, and they're just going to be taking Lord Croak to Pound Town. But it looks like there's going to be a Deliverance of Pizza right here, which is going to be doing a lot of damage, I'm sure. Shield of the Old Ones goes down as well, so I mean, dwarves, it's pretty hard to dodge those. I mean, I could have, oh my god, look at the damage on that, and it pulls the Bounce of Power back towards the middle. But again, these Brave Slayers know that Croak needs to fall, otherwise many of their other Dawi brethren will, be struggling. So they're a selfless people. So right here, the Thunders are going to be shooting downtown, just going after Lord Croak. The Oath of Vengeance has been popped, putting his melee defense to 0, which pretty much guarantees that the Slayers and the Runesmith and the High King are going to be able to drag him down. 438 HP on this guy. We're trying our best to gun him down, and it looks like he's going to be falling here in a moment. 318. Mazda Mundi is going to be rushing in to try and rescue him, but my opponent actually does drop out there. The bounce power was pretty substantially in my favor, so it looks like he just opted to leave the game. But anyways, I know my opponent left a little bit early, but I just wanted to show you guys that the game was pretty much a foregone conclusion at that point. I had all my guns, all my infantry were in good shape, my Lord leadership was in good shape, but I wanted to show you guys that Thorgrim can be a decent pick in some matchups, and I think he actually isn't bad against the dinosaurs. I feel like he's a pretty good mass blocker, so you just kind of, obviously that is a big issue, right? Even with Slayers, sometimes dinosaurs with big mass can simply run through you, and you can't truly stop them outside of maybe the Dragonback Slayers and Runes of Wrath and Ruin. But I feel like Thorgrim isn't a bad roadblock type character. Plus, he in the end game when it gets really grindy, his buffs are really strong. He does also have the the Oath of Vengeance, the Book of Grudges to give melee attack to Slayers and other troops like that. So I felt like he was pretty strong. I definitely liked him quite a bit in this matchup. So anyways, well played to my opponent Nyfurium. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this 2-for-1, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.